Bhaktapaya Bhujanga Garudamanihi Trailokya Rakshamanihi Gopilochana Chatakambudamanihi Saundarya Mudramanihi Yaha Kantamani Rukmini Ganakucha Dvandvaika Bhushamanihi Sheyodeva Shikamanihi Dishatuno Gopala Chudamanihi Ishatuno Gopala Chudamanihi Atimanusha Shila Vritta Veshaihi Ativrittamara Vikrama Pratapaihi Atilangita Sarvaloka Samyam Varave Vaishnava Vaibhavataram Atimanusha Shila Vritta Veshaihi. Krishna's Cheshtitas are Atimanusha. Through his Cheshtitas, through his avataras, he demonstrates Atimanusha Shila, Atimanusha Vritta, Atimanusha Vesha. We have been relishing Krishna's Atimanusha Vesha, his Atimanohara Saundarya Lavanya Divya Rupam, his eternally enchanting form, so very magnetic. We have been relishing his Atimanusha Vritta, his Cheshtitas, which are suprahuman. Putanavada, Shakatasuravada, Trinavartavada, Kalingamardana. All these are Atimanusha Vrittas. Atimanusha Shila. Shila means conduct, good conduct. Gopi Vastrapaharana. We wonder how come Vastrapaharana is good conduct. Atimanusha Shila. Now, in our deep dive into Dashamaskanda, we are making a very significant transition. Today is a very important day, a very important segment in the Dashamaskanda. We are making a very significant transition. Now, our journey is a journey towards the core, the center of all reality. It's like journeying from the periphery towards the core. The closer we get to the core, the greater is our understanding of Krishna. And right at the center is Dashamaskanda of Bhagavatam, and within Dashamaskanda, we are getting closer and closer to that center to relish Krishna's Atimanusha Shila and his Atimanusha Vritta, his Leelas in Vrindavana, together with those great jnanis, those great bhaktas, Gopikas. He is Gopilochana Chatakambudamanihi. We are going to make a shift to understand one of the most misunderstood topics in our Shastras, widely called bridal mysticism. Bridal mysticism. It is essentially the very crux of our relationship with Bhagavan. Our Shastras say all the jivas are brides. There is only one Purusha, one Purushottama, Bhagavan, who is the eternal groom. The Gopis teach us a very vital lesson. This is the pinnacle of Shastra Jnana, understanding who we are, our true identities, and our relationship with Krishna. So therefore, now as Krishna moves on with his Leelas, we now are going to relish Krishna's transition from Pauganda to the next stage, where we are going to see Krishna getting closer and closer to the Gopis. So far it has been the time of the Gopas. The Gopis have been longing. They have been longing for union with Krishna, and the time is slowly arriving. Vasanta Rutu has passed. Grishma Rutu has arrived in Vrindavana. So we see every Rutu in Bhagavatam, especially Dashamaskanda, beautifully described, vividly captured. Grishma Rutu is summer. Summers are very harsh in Vrindavan. No air conditioning those days. But even though summers were harsh, because of the lush green forests was still bearable, and still Krishna, along with all the Gopakumaras, could enjoy their time outside of home, venturing out into the forests of Vrindavana. So there was one such day when Krishna, along with the Gopas, were herding the cows, going way deeper into the forests of Vrindavana. As the summer was getting hotter and hotter, it was also becoming difficult for the cows to find fresh grass. And the cows, as the boys were all playing, immersed in playing, Balarama, Krishna and all the Gopas were playing, the cows and the calves started to stray a little bit farther and farther in search of lush green grass. And suddenly, all the Gopas found that the calves and the cows were missing. And then they started searching for them. They started following the track, looking at the hoof prints of the cows. And as they were going, finally they could find the cows at a far distance away from where they normally used to play. After discovering the cows and the calves, it was almost time for all the Gopas to head back home. As they started to head back home, something happened. A great forest fire enveloped all of them. Krishna, Balarama and the Gopas were all of a sudden surrounded by a forest fire. A forest fire which was so very intense, flames consuming all the trees around. And the wind was strong, and the flames, the forest fire was spreading all over, swallowing, consuming every tree that came in its way. All the Gopas were terrified. They were running hither and thither, not knowing what to do. But they all knew one thing. They were still safe because Krishna was with them. Though fearful, all the boys, all the Gopas surrounded Krishna and Balarama, and then made an appeal to Krishna. Hey Krishna, Krishna Krishna Mahavira, hey Ramamoga Vikrama. Ramamoga Vikrama. Rama here is Balarama. Hey Balarama, your prowess never fails. Hey Krishna, you are very powerful. We have witnessed all your cheshtitas. The Gopas knew Krishna's supremacy because they have been witness to every Leela so far. Davagnina Dahyamanan. We are about to be burnt by this forest fire. Prapannam stratum arhataha. We are taking your shelter, hey Krishna. Nyunam tvad bandavaha Krishna. Charhanti avasaditum. Hey Krishna, we are your friends. You are certainly our protector. We know that you will not get us hurt. Vayamhi sarvadharmagyaha pannatha tatparayanaha. You are our Lord. We surrender into you, Krishna. Protect us. This forest fire is representative of samsara davanala. Samsara is also like a fire in which we are constantly burned. The Shastras talk about three kinds of heat we all undergo. Three fires. Tapatraya, Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika. Knowingly or unknowingly, we are constantly roasted in this fire. Sometimes we even tend to enjoy getting roasted without knowing we are actually getting roasted. That's the sorry state. That is our ajnana. But then this fire of samsara can only be burnt down. There is only one solution to this, to surrender to Krishna. Therefore, this is what the Gopas, the Gopakumaras surrender to Krishna. And what does Krishna do? He effortlessly says, he looks around and says, fear not. my friends, fear not. Just close your eyes for a moment, he says. Immediately all the Gopas close their eyes. What does Krishna do? He effortlessly swallows the entire forest fire. Then and there. He swallows the entire forest fire, and instantaneously the forest fire disappears. And when the Gopakumaras, they open their eyes, the fire is gone. Everything is back to normal. And they are back to their celebratory mood. Krishna saves the boys from blazing forest fire. The Gopakumaras are saved from the forest fire. But Krishna is yet to save the gopis who are also undergoing, are being burnt by another kind of fire, the blazing fire of separation from Krishna. The gopis have been longing. They have always been telling themselves how unfortunate we are. We are never allowed to go and play with Krishna. Only the Gopas are allowed to go and play with him. We only get to see him from a distance. Always get to only see him, not even approach him. How unfortunate we are. And all the gopis are immersed in the tapa of separation. And Krishna knows that he has to quench that thirst of the gopis. As Krishna thinks of quenching the thirst, monsoon arrives. Summer passes, monsoon arrives. The earth is become very weak. It has to be nourished, and therefore the clouds, out of mercy, pour heavy rains. There is a downpour of rain everywhere on Vraja. Streams and rivers begin to swell. The earth becomes emerald-like once again. The field gives joy to all the farmers. Rainbow appears every day in the sky. The trees blossom and the peacocks become festive. Vrindavana becomes so very resplendent. Every tree bears fruits, and all the Gopakumaras are now thrilled. Now they don't need to carry a lot of food from home when they venture out, because the trees are all full of different kinds of fruits. And therefore in the monsoon, every day is an enjoyment of different kind. The monsoon passes by, and then arrives the beautiful Ritu, Sharad Ritu, the autumn, the season where the sky becomes cloudless, water becomes clear, the winds are gentle, and flowers bloom, lotuses bloom, and there is fragrance everywhere. The breeze carries the fragrance of all the flowers. The bees hum with joy. The birds are singing. And Krishna, and together with the Gopas, begin to enjoy Sharad Ritu. During Sharad Ritu, the speciality is, there is not just one moon shining, there are also two moons shining every night. Because one moon always shines. Krishna always shines irrespective of the Ritu. But during Sharad Ritu, with all the clouds very clear, the sky being clear, the moon shines brightly, and that is again another occasion for all the Gopas to rejoice. Except for Gopis, everybody is rejoicing Sharad Ritu. The cool breeze carrying the fragrance of all the flowers embraces everybody in Vraja. But that cool breeze burns the skin of Gopis, because they are immersed in the tapa of separation, viraha tapa. They are unable to bear the separation with Krishna. And therefore, the Gopis are constantly in remembrance. They are deeply absorbed, remembering Krishna. Shukha takes the opportunity to give a detailed, vivid account of Sharad Ritu. He describes Sharad Ritu, and he reserves a good portion of description of Sharad Ritu to the description of that Atimanusha Cheshtita of Krishna, which is Krishna playing his Venu. This part of the Bhagavatam is popularly called Venu Gita. Venu Gita more beautiful than Bhagavad Gita. It is here where Krishna is playing the flute. And who is singing the Venu Gita? The exalted Gopis are singing the Venu Gita. In the season of Sharad Ritu, the lakes are all with clear water. Lotuses are blossoming everywhere, fragrant lotuses, cool breeze, flowering trees, and the hills everywhere are lush green. the bees are humming everywhere, flocks of birds are singing. Krishna knows how to play his flute. He blends skillfully the sound of his flute with the humming of the bees and the singing of the birds, creating a harmony that is even more beautiful than Samagana, that is only can be heard in Vaikuntha. Such was the beauty of the music. It was like an orchestra where Krishna, the master musician, playing his flute in harmony with the humming of the bees, the cooing of the cuckoos, the singing of various birds, arousing delight in every heart in Vraja. Krishna, of course, is Madhupati, and he arrives in Vrindavana, and Shukha beautifully describes the arrival of Krishna. Kusumita Vanaraji Sushmi Bhringa Vijakula Gushta Sarasarin Mahindram Madhupati Ravagaya Charayan Gaha Saha Pashupala Balas Chakuja Venum. He begins to play his flute. Kusumita Vanaraji Sushmi Bhringa Vijakula Gushta Saraha Sarin Mahindram. The lake Saraha, the lakes, the rivers, the hills of Vrindavana resounded with the sounds of Sushmi Bringa, maddened bees. It seems the bees were all maddened because there was abundance of honey everywhere. The moment the bees see abundance of honey flowing out of every lotus flower, the bees were maddened, going around, sucking the honey from every lotus flower. The maddened bees, they were in a high, drinking so much of honey. Sushmi Bhringa, Dvijakula Gushtaha, flocks of birds moving about the flowering trees. Madhupati Avagahya Charayan Gaha, Sahapashubala, Balaschukuja Venum, in the company of all the cowherd birds and Balarama, Madhupati. Krishna here is called Madhupati. Madhu can mean many things. Madhu is honey. Here we are not talking of Madhu, the Rakshasa. Madhu, the honey. Madhu also is one of the kings in the lineage of Yaduvamsa. Krishna therefore is also called Madhupati, referring to the Madhu of Yaduvamsa. He is also Madhupati, the Pati of all nectar. Nectar oozes out of his divine lotus feet, and therefore he is Madhupati. And that Madhupati Avagahya Charayangaha Saha Pashupala Balas Chukuja Venum. Krishna starts to play his flute. The moment Krishna starts to play his flute, Tad Vrajastriya Ashritya Venugeetam Smarodayam Kaschit Paroksham Krishnasya Swa Sakhibhyaha Anvavarnayan. That Venugita, that melody, that mellifluous music coming out from Krishna's flute arouses the hearts of the gopis. Arouses the hearts of the gopis, delights them, and then Shuka says they come under the influence of Cupid, Kamadeva. Cupid's arrow strikes every mortal. Fortunately or unfortunately, human bodies are wired for desire, a force beyond logic. But what we need to understand here, that the longing of gopis here, ordinary mortals have infinite longings, but the gopis' longing is directed towards the infinite. This is the big difference. The gopis transmute the infinite longings which are ordinary, which are natural for ordinary mortals, into one longing for the infinite, one longing for Krishna. Their longing is redirected from fleeting things, fleeting forms, fleeting people to the eternal. When that happens, kama, lust, transforms into divine love. The gopis obviously are suffering because of the tapa of separation. In Krishna's presence, it becomes pure, divine devotion, not bondage. The gopis assume they are the brides. Krishna is their groom. Every gopi wants to marry Krishna. This is the lofty principle of bridal mysticism. Bridal mysticism is not denying attraction. It's not denying attraction, which is very natural, but then offering it at the feet of the divine. It is essentially using every sense to serve Krishna. Then every desire becomes purified. Desire no longer becomes enslaving, it becomes liberating. It is not about possessing one's beloved, it is dissolving into one's beloved. Gopis teaches a very profound principle, very lofty principle, not at all easy to emulate, but we can aspire. Now, as we relish through the remaining segment of the Dashamaskanda, we get to understand the divine love, the supreme bhakti of the Gopis. The Gopis are pining, they are longing for their beloved. Krishna in the Gita beautifully declares, Evam buddhe param buddhva samstabhyatmanamatmana jahishatrum mahabaho kamarupam durasadam. Now, kama is one's enemy, no doubt. But then the same kama can be transformed, can be transmuted. Vishaya kama, when it transmuted to Bhagavat kama, becomes liberating. Vishaya kama, when it is transmuted into Bhagavat kama, the direction gets changed. Kama remains the same. That's what Gopis teach us. And Krishna in the Gita says how you can transform this. Outer regulation and inner redirection, both are needed. Outer regulation is also needed. It is very important and it is very difficult to stay away from objects that can attract, that can carry away our senses. At the same time, inner redirection is also very important. Redirecting our desire, redirecting our longing towards Krishna. Then such longing will never become a craving. It will lead us to completeness. When we desire what is material, that even the fulfillment of the desire only will lead us to continued craving. But the Gopis teach us how to move away from craving to completeness. And this is where we see how Gopis teach us how can we actually transmute bodily desires. How can we use our senses that have been given for Krishna Kainkarya, to direct them towards Krishna, to love him unconditionally. Krishna enters, and then the Gopis, all the Gopis are looking at Krishna, Balarama and all the Gopas from a distance. Unfortunately, they still don't have an opportunity to come closer to Krishna. They've always been watching Krishna enter the streets of Vrindavan, exit the streets of Vrindavan. Now they follow him into the forest, and hidden behind the trees, all the Gopikas are looking at Krishna. Barhapidam natavaravapuhu karnayoho karnikaram. Like the greatest of all dancers, Krishna also knows he is being watched. He knows all the eyes of Gopikas are on him. He knows what's going on. So therefore, he conducts himself in such a way that he enhances, he kindles even more love and longing in the hearts of Gopis. Barhapidam natavarapapuhu karnayoho karnikaram. He's been, after all, practicing how to dance. Now he's showing all his nice dance moves to the Gopikas. And he's wearing a beautiful peacock feather, and also his head is dressed with blue karnikara flowers. As it is, he's very enchanting, dark blue with blue colored flowers which are adorning his head. Bhibradvasaha kanaka kapisham vaijayati inchamalam. Vaijayanti mala, yellow, and he is wearing a Vaijayanti garland and a shining yellow garment like gold. He is wearing it. Randhranvenor adhara sudhaya purayan gopa vrindaihi. He takes his flute and he fills the flute. All are wondering, hey Krishna, when we play that flute, only cacophony comes. The same flute, when you play, how come some mellifluous nectarine music comes? Randhranveno, the same holes on the same flute. But when you play, it becomes nectarine. And Vrindaranyam Swapadaramanam Pravishad Gita Kirtihi. He enters the Vrinda forest and beautifying it with his footprints. And as he walks barefoot with all the boys following, singing his glories, all the Gopikas are now soaking in that divine beauty of Krishna. And the Gopis look at Krishna and say, hey Krishna, how blessed we are. They get a good vision of Krishna. His enchanting beauty captivates the Gopis. Akshanvatam phalamidam na param vidamaha. Hey Krishna, we don't know any other greater object of vision. These eyes, they only need to soak in this beauty, this vision of yours. What else can we ask for? Sakyah pashun anuvishetor vayasaihi vaktram vrajesha sutayor anavenu jushtam. They see Krishna and Balarama holding flutes. Eirva nipitam anurakta kataksha moksham. Krishna also lovingly shows his sidelong glances. He ensures that the gopis are all looking from behind the trees. He ensures his glances are all falling on them. They are saying, we have attained moksha, hey Krishna. Just because we could see eye to eye with you, we are experiencing that moksha right here on Vraja. Chuta pravala barha stabakotpadaja, decorated with newly grown mango sprouts. Krishna is wearing mango sprouts, peacock feathers, bunch of flowers, lotuses, lilies. Malanuprukta paridhana vichitra veshao, garlands and dressed in charming garments. Madhye virejatur alam pashupala goshtya. He's shining amongst the gopas. All gopas are around him. Madhye virejatur alam pashupala goshtya. He's shining magnificently in the assembly of all the gopas. Rangeyata natavarau kvacha gayamanau. Krishna and Balarama look like they have made Vraja their stage on which they are going to dance, and singing and dancing, Krishna presents himself to all the gopis. Gopyah kim acharad ayam kushalam smavenuhu. Dear gopis, what auspicious activity. The gopis are now talking to each other. Gopyah kim acharad ayam kushalam smavenuhu. What auspicious activities that Venu, that flute should have performed. How fortunate that flute is. We are all far away, but how close that flute is to Krishna. What kind of punya karma that flute should have done. Damodara dhara sudham api gopikanam, to enjoy the nectar of Damodara's lips, which is actually only meant for us. But how come they are so fortunate that they get to taste that even before us? How fortunate they are. Bhunkte swayam yad avasishta rasam hradinyaha hrisatvachoshru mumuchuhu taravo yataryaha. The flute, the Venu is enjoying independently with Krishna. We are all there around, but how blessed it is independently enjoying Krishna, and it's only leaving the remaining taste for all of us. How blessed it should be. And it says, also the mother of the flute is also enjoying, because looking at her son having that special blessing of that association with Krishna's divine lotus lips. Who is the mother of the flute? The gopis say the mother of the flute is the Yamuna river, because Yamuna river, it is the bamboo tree grows from there. Therefore, the river becomes the mother. It seems Yamuna becomes jubilant looking at Krishna playing the flute, because Yamuna thinks, the son and daughter is so blessed to have that glorious association. And the gopis say, all the bamboo trees are the forefathers. They are all blessing the flute. How blessed you are. Amongst all of us, you are the chosen one. There are many bamboo trees, but one bamboo tree gets chosen to get made into the flute, and that one flute is chosen by Krishna. So therefore, like all forefathers, Pitrus, wishing, all the ancestors, all the bamboo trees, it seems, are blessing. May your association continue. How blessed you are. Dhanyaho, dhanyaho. The gopis are looking at the Venu and singing the fortune of Krishna's Venu. Gopyah kim acharat ayam kushalasma venuhu. This is the Gopi Gita, looking at the flute. When we look at Krishna's flute, it's a treasure house of wonder, isn't it? It's such a treasure house that it produces inconceivable effects. It causes rivers to freeze. It causes mountains to melt. It agitates one's body and mind. At the same time, it can also calm down one's mind. It stuns the whole universe. It can kindle a sense of calm or a sense of storm in the hearts of people. It can silence the animals and the birds. Even dead trees can come alive listening to the flute of Krishna. How wondrous that flute is. It is a treasure trove of wonders. it also has contradictions, the gopis are saying. It seems to be full of holes, but it is devoid of any defects. Normally, if there is a hole, means it's a defect. But the same hole in the flute, it seems to be an auspicious quality, not a blemish. It's devoid of any defects. The flute is very hard, but it softens the hearts of even the heartless. It is hollow, but how come it holds so much music inside it? So very nectarine. The gopis are wondering, what is this wonder of wonders? A small instrument. And they all look at each other. All of us are inspired by that flute of Krishna. We know why Krishna is so very dear to the flute. Why that flute is so very dear to Krishna? Because it is so hollow, it lets Krishna play his tunes through it. It is that ideal instrument, such an inspiration, and we all can also have that exalted position. Who are saying this? Gopis are saying this. They are already on the peak, but they are looking at the flute and saying, may we too get that exalted position of Krishna's Venu. Vrindavanam Sakhi Bhuvo Vithanoti Kirtim. If his Sakhi, Vrindavana, is spreading the glory on this earth, how blessed this Vrindavana is. Until the gopis have not ventured into Vrindavana, it was always the domain of the Gopas. Slowly and steadily the gopis, Krishna is growing up, so therefore they can't stay back in the village. They have to head into Vrindavana, and they are realizing how blessed Vrindavana is, spreading the glory of the earth. And yad Vrindavanam Sakibhuvo Vitanoti Kirtim yad Devaki Suta Padambuja Labdha Lakshmi. Having obtained, why Vrindavana is glorious? It has obtained the treasure of the lotus feet of Krishna. The gopis are not saying Yashoda Suta, no, yad Devaki Suta Padambuja Labdha Lakshmi. Already they are very conscious of their future mother-in-law. They are saying right now itself we have to ensure that our mother-in-law gets due attention and respect right now. So therefore, he is not Krishna, he is Devaki Suta. Devaki is happy, Krishna is happy, we are all happy. Yad Devaki Suta Padambuja Labdha Lakshmi Govinda Venu Manumatta Mayura Nityam. They could now see as Govinda is playing that flute, Mayura Nityam, the peacocks are dancing madly, listening to Krishna's flute. All the gopis also want to dance madly, but somehow they still have that little bit of shame in them. They are still not broken free, and they are still controlling themselves. Prekshayadrisanu avaratanya samatas sattvam. Everywhere, all the birds, all kinds of birds, all kinds of creatures, even from the hill, are witnessing Krishna playing the flute. The peacocks are dancing, all the gopas are sitting around. The gopis are all mesmerized listening, and they're saying they all are stunned. Everybody, every creature all around is stunned, completely tuned to Krishna's tunes. Everyone in harmony, perfect harmony. That is why Vraja is Bhuloka Vaikuntha, because there is perfect harmony. Harmony with the master's tunes. And the gopis are now lamenting. Look at all those, even those creatures. Look at exalted devatas and the devis. They are all fortunate because they are all allowed to go and talk to Krishna. Look at the gopas. They get to eat with Krishna. They get to play with Krishna. Even the flute gets to be associated with Krishna. We are very poor. I don't know what papa karma we did. Gopis are talking to each other. What papa karma we did? We are so very unfortunate. We still are restricted. Krishna is listening to their heartbeat, is listening to every word that they are speaking, and everything, that process that's happening in their mind. Gavascha Krishna mukha nirgata venu gita piyusha mutthabita karna puthai pibantyaha. Even the cows with the upraised ears as vessels are drinking the nectar of the music coming from Krishna's flute. Savaha snutastana payaha kavalaha smatastuhu govindam atmani drishashru kalaha prasantyaha. The calves, as they are drinking milk for their mothers, are completely still. As they are drinking the milk, they are actually drinking Krishna. Krishna is entering every calf through his music. Krishna is entering every calf. Krishna is entering every cow. Krishna is entering every bird. Krishna is entering every creature, every gopa, every gopi. The birds out in Vrindavana listening to the flute, Venugita, seems the birds have become sages and they are all in deep dhyana. And the river is in ecstasy hearing Krishna's flutes. And Yamuna, it seems, was so very ecstatic. Crossing the banks, Yamuna comes like with the arms, its waves are like the arms, coming with the arms, embracing Krishna's feet, washing Krishna's feet, holding Krishna's feet. Yamuna is washing Krishna's feet, listening to him, playing his flute. And as the gopis are looking around, listening to Krishna, all of a sudden, this is Sharad Rutu. The sky was crystal clear, but all of a sudden, it seems, as the sun was reaching right at the top of the sky, all the clouds are also raising, and the clouds suddenly become like an umbrella, becoming a shade between the sun and Krishna, so that Krishna can continue to play his flute undisturbed. The gopis are looking at the clouds and they're saying, how blessed these clouds are. They get an opportunity to serve Krishna. We have not yet been blessed to serve Krishna. How blessed the clouds are. Hantaya Madrir Abala Haridasha Varyaha. And they look around, they see the Govardhana hill. How blessed the Govardhana hill is, listening to Krishna's flute. Of all the devotees, Govardhana hill is the best. They decide. The gopis decide the Govardhana is best. Why? Yad Rama Krishna Charana Sparsha Pramodaha. Constantly being touched by the lotus feet of Krishna and Balarama, Govardhana hill. And look at Govardhana hill, how jubilant it is. Because if it's being touched with the lotus by the lotus feet of Krishna and Balarama. Manam tanoti sahago ghanayo tayoryat. Paniya suyavasa kandara kandamulaihi. And because it's so very jubilant, the Govardhana hill supplies everything to the calves, to the cows, to the gopas, the gopis, all the Vrajavasis, water for drinking, soft grass for the cows. It provides caves to all the gopas to play around, fruits, flowers, vegetables. How the Govardhana is serving Krishna, how blessed Govardhana is. How come we are not able to serve Krishna like the way Govardhana is serving Krishna? The gopis are now abusing themselves for their misfortune. Venusvanai kalapadai tanubhrutsu sakyaha aspandanam gatimatam pulakastarunam. When Krishna plays his flute, the sweet music causes moving living entities to become stunned and the non-moving trees to tremble with ecstasy. It seems the trees are dancing and all the creatures which normally move are all stunned and they're all non-moving. The entire nature of the world changes. And look at Krishna, he is carrying the ropes to bind the cows as though they are his own ornaments. How wonderful this flute playing of Krishna is. Now, this Venugita of Gopis is a perfect example of how to remain absorbed in Krishna. This is a lesson in being absorbed. Krishna teaches Vibhuti Yoga to Arjuna for only one reason. How to stay connected with the Vibhu through his Vibhutis. Gopikas very effortlessly teach that profound knowledge in so very simple terms. How to look at everything as serving Krishna, and in that process how to stay connected with Krishna. All their thoughts are absorbed, engrossed in Krishna. The Gopis of Vrindavana present a very vivid example of this. No one can worship Krishna better than Gopis. Shouldn't they be rewarded? Not yet. Krishna has to still do a Leela. Now what the Leela that Krishna is going to do is not a prank. It's not an ordinary prank. This is a Leela. It's not a prank, but it is a test. Krishna is going to now give a final test. A final test that the gopis have to pass. A test of Sharanagati. A test of surrender. And what is this test? This test is popularly called Gopi Vastrapaharana. Now let's pause here for a moment. Let us pause here. I wrote something from an article. Let me read it out. Let's pause the relishing of Bhagavatam. Let me just read out. Just listen carefully. This is an article which I picked up, and then I'm reading midway through the article. I don't want to read the whole thing, so somewhere midway picked up and I'm reading it out for you. The room is silent. She hesitates, clutching her fabric, but he insists. Slowly, she lets go, exposed yet trusting. She is shy, struggling to overcome her shame. He looks at her with intensity and moves his hands with precision. Let me stop here. You may think, what's happening to Guruji? You may wonder where we are. You may be shocked. You may be uncomfortable. What is this? I'm reading something scandalous. Let me read it again. I'm going to the start of the article. She had been suffering from a life-threatening illness, uncertain and afraid. He, a skilled doctor, was her only hope. She entered the doctor's room. The room is silent. She hesitated, clutching her fabric, but he insists. Slowly she lets go, exposed, yet trusting. She is shy, struggling to overcome her shame. He looks at with intensity and love, moves his hands with care and precision. After a thorough examination, with a deep breath, the doctor looks at with care and compassion and says, "We found the cause of your disease in time. Now is the time to heal you." In order to reach Dashamaskanda and to reach the crux of Dashamaskanda, we traveled 9 skandhas, 8,226 verses of Bhagavatam, 9 skandhas to reach Dashamaskanda, which is a preparation for us. When we take anything out of context, when we look at anything out of context, even the purest act may seem improper. Even a purest act, unless we have the right perspective, unless we know the actors involved in that act, the nature of both the actors, it is very difficult for us to come to any sensible conclusion. Gopi Vastrapaharana is widely discussed. How many who have discussed this Cheshtita have actually studied the 9 skandhas of Bhagavata to understand Krishna as Satyakama, he is Satya Sankalpa, he is Purushottama, he is Mahavibhu, he is Narayana, he is Sarvaseshi, Sarvaniyanta, he is Sakala Jagat Karana, he is Sakala Jagat Swami. The moment we know who Krishna is, then we understand whatever he does, there has to be something more than what we can ever comprehend with our limited faculties. And when we know who the Gopikas are, the exalted bhaktas who have transcended morality and immorality, and who are beyond dualities. Krishna has to ensure that the Gopikas cross the final bridge of completely cutting away with the identification with the body. The most difficult thing for anyone to do in their lives. Whatsoever progress we achieve in our spiritual journeys, that I-ness, that identification with the body doesn't go very easily. The body, after all, is like clothing for the Atman. He can keep reading Vasam Sijirnani Yata Vihaya Navani Grannati Naroparani 1,000 times, 10,000 times, 1,00,000 times, but still after reading it, we still look at our body and we are in control of everything which is bodily related. To get out of the body consciousness is not very easy. The Gopikas have already reached a stage where they know they belong to Krishna. But there is still that vestige, that's very little remnant of they thinking they are Gopikas, they are cowherdesses. Krishna has to cure them completely. Gopi Vastrapaharana is the final treatment that Krishna reserves for the chosen ones, not for all. Gopikas cannot be emulated. Obviously, Krishna Cheshtitas are tailored differently for different people. The universal doctor knows what treatment to give to whom. He doesn't give the same treatment to everybody. The treatment that is appropriate for the Gopikas need not be the same for somebody else. So therefore, what we see here is Gopikas are crossing that final bridge, the final test where they can drop the ultimate vestige of body consciousness, of they being cowherdesses, realizing their ultimate relationship. Hitacha rakshakasseshi bhartagneyo ramapatihi swamyadharo mamatmacha bhokta sadhyamanuditaha. A Mahacharya called Pillai Lokacharya, the great preceptor of Manavala Mamuni, comes in the lineage of Swami Ramanuja. He describes the Navavida Sambandha of every Jiva, every Jivatma with Paramatma. It is called Navavida Sambandha. Navavida means 9 types of Sambandha. Pitacha Rakshakasseshi Bharta Gneyo Ramapatihi Swamyadharo Mamatmacha Bhokta Sadhyamanuditaha. He is Pita, Loka Pita. We are all his sons, his daughters. We belong to him. With Rakshaka, he is the protector, we are the protected. He is the Seshi, he is the only one to be served. We are all servants. Bharta, he is the Bharta. We are all Bharyas. Bhartru Bharya relationship. Bhartru Bharya relationship is Ananyarha Seshatva. A Bharya is devoted to Bharta and Bharta alone. That's the relationship between a Jivatma and the Paramatma. Undivided bhakti. Nitya yuktaha eka bhaktihi, Krishna says in the Gita. Nitya yuktaha. A Bharya, you're not talking about the Bharyas of the material world and the Bhartas of the material world. It's almost impossible. But the relationship between a Jivatma and the Paramatma. Nitya yuktaha. To stay constantly connected. Eka bhaktihi. Undivided bhakti. Bhakti cannot be distributed. Bhatru Bharya relationship. Sesha Seshi relationship. Jnaya Jnata. He is the only one to be known. There is nothing else to be known in this life. We are searching for everything and anything, not knowing what is there to be known. The moment we know, he is the only to be known, by knowing him, everything else is known. Bhartagneyo Ramapatihi. Swami. He is the Swami. Swaswami relationship. He is the Swami, I am the Dasa. He is the only Swami. I am his Dasa alone. Swamya Adharaha. I am Adheya. He is the supporter. I am the supported. He is the Paramatma, Atma. We are all his Sharira. He is the Shariri. He is the Shariri. We are Shariras. Even the Atma is the Sharira. The Deha is the Sharira. The physical body is the Sharira. Atma is also Sharira of the ultimate Shariri, Bhagavan. Hitacha Rakshakasseshi Bhartagneyo Ramapatihi Swamyadharo Mamatmacha bhokta sadhyam anuditaha. He is the bhokta. We are all bhogya. He is the only enjoyer. We are all to be enjoyed by him. Our enjoyment is to be enjoyed by him. This is the crux of understanding this relationship, and the gopis teach how to be rooted in this awareness of this unique relationship with Krishna. And therefore, the gopis, now Sharad Ritu has also passed by. Hemanta Ritu has come. Winter has started. The sacred Margashir Masha starts. Some of us know the legend of Goda Devi, Andal, who did what is celebrated as Pavai Nomb. During the month of Margashir, she enacts being another Gopika. And together with the fellow Gopikas, she actually woos Krishna and she commands Krishna immediately to give himself to them. Andal, Goda Devi, was enacting what the blessed Gopikas were doing in Brajabhumi. The month of Hemanta, the season of Hemanta, Margashirsha comes, and all the Gopikas now decide, enough is enough. Now, if Krishna is not going to come to us, we will go to him. We will ensure that he has no option but to yield to our request. And they all decide, what should we do? And it is the custom there on Brajabhumi that any young lady wishing to get married has to do Katyayani Vrata. Therefore they say, let us do this. The Gopikas were ready to do any Vrata. They were ready to worship to anyone. And the moment this formula, the secret formula was given to them, you do this, you will get married, you will find the right groom. They all decide Katyayani worship. They say 30 days every day. And waking up early in the morning, going to Yamuna, having a Yamuna Snana, and singing Krishna's glories. Krishna, every day they perform this Vrata only for one purpose. The beauty here is, we may wonder, if Gopikas know that Krishna is the goal, Krishna is the means, why do they need to do any other Vrata? The beauty here is, in Vrindavana, the Gopikas realize Krishna's greatness and sweetness. They realize that. Krishna's greatness is also, they know Krishna is the Sarveshwara, he is the Parabrahma, he is the Purushottama. But it is like the stars and the sun. Krishna's greatness is like the stars, his sweetness is like the sun. When there is sun, the stars are not seen. When the sun shines, similarly, when Krishna's Madhurya shines, his Paratva takes a backseat. So therefore, all the Gopikas are overtaken by Krishna's Madhurya, his sweetness. Therefore, even though they know who Krishna is, they are drawn towards Krishna's Madhurya, Krishna's sweetness. And therefore, they think of every other ways of attaining Krishna. So therefore, and Krishna is witnessing what's going on. He knows the Vrata that all the Gopikas are doing. The 30 days of Vrata pass by. And all the Gopikas, now they are ready. And on the last day of the Vrata, they get into the Yamuna. And then they take off all their clothes and they are having a good time singing Krishna's glories in Yamuna. Bhagavams tat abhipretya Krishnaha yogeshwareshwaraha payasyair avritas tatra gatastat karma siddhaye. Again, very important here how the Gopi Vastrapaharana is also introduced. Tuka says, Bhagavams tat abhipretya Krishnaha yogeshwareshwaraha. The Yogeshwareshwara is going to steal the garment. So therefore, we know what should be the objective of Krishna stealing the garments of the Gopis. There is no room for any question to be asked, or there is no room to look at it as another prank or pass it off as a mischief. It is such a sacred, exalted act. Krishna knows what the Gopikas want. He is Yogeshwareshwara. Vayasyair avrtastatra katastatra karma siddhaye. And he knows that the Gopis have been longing for Krishna. And therefore, I need to now reward them. And therefore, Krishna decides that, how do I make the reward? Let me give them that final test. And as the Gopikas are singing Krishna's glories and having their bath in the Yamuna, Krishna, along with a couple of little children, he comes, he steals their garments. There is a nice Kadamba tree. He goes there, hangs all the garments and sits on top of the Kadamba. And as all the Gopikas finish their ceremonial bath, they discover that their garments are missing. And then they find out they're all hanging from the Kadamba tree. And then ensues a very interesting conversation where they start pleading Krishna. And Krishna keeps reminding them that, if you want me, you have to come to me at my terms, not your terms. You cannot dictate how you're going to approach. This is that final test of the Gopikas where Acharyas say this is the last fetter of conquering even shame, which comes associated with body consciousness. Now, all of us have shame of different degrees, and it is all because of us being constantly rooted in body consciousness, to the extent that even if we need to sing Krishna bhajan in a group, we are a little, ashamed. Because why? We are conscious of our identity as our bodies. When we break free from this fetter, Rukmini calls out to Krishna. He says, Apatrapanme, I am shameless in calling you a Krishna. I shamelessly call you, she says, Rukmini. We may wonder, what is this shamelessly calling? Because when you are connecting with Bhagavan, there is no need for any shame. We need to transcend even that feeling which comes with body consciousness. Krishna, therefore, teases the Gopis, invites them to walk out. And then he also says, hey Gopikas, you must also realize there is an offense that you have committed. They all wonder what kind of an offense we have committed. Because our Shastras are very clear. One cannot make a snan in sacred rivers without any clothes. And Gopikas, you have committed an offense in taking even a ceremonial bath in Yamuna, and therefore that offense, you have to pay for that offense committed. Therefore reach out. And the Gopikas, surrendering to Krishna, they then respond to Krishna's call, and with an act of ultimate surrender, the pinnacle of Sharanagati, completely being cut off from their bodily identities, completely forgetting that they are cowherds, only with the remembrance of who Krishna is, who they are. Pita cha rakshaka seshi bharta jneyo ramapati swamyadharo mamatma cha bhokta sadhyavanoditaha. Knowing Krishna as their ultimate bhokta, knowing Krishna as their only goal, knowing Krishna as their only means, they all reach out to Krishna, do Sharanagati to him. And Krishna now says, now I know you're all ready for that union that you have been longing. And therefore, as a reward, I promise that ultimate reward. But you have to wait. You have to wait for the next Sharad Ritu to come. Sharad Ritu is already passed by. Because it is now Hemanta Ritu. Please wait. And when the time comes, I will call out. Krishna's Tasam Vijnaya Bhagavan Swapada Sparsha Kamyaya Dhrita Ratanam Sankalpam Aha Damodaraha Abalaha. The omniscient Damodara says, a pure-hearted Gopis, once again, before, after. Before Vastraparana happened, very clearly, Yogeshwareshwaraha is the one who is doing the Vastraparana. After Vastraparana, Krishna is looking at Gopikas and he's saying, Tasam Vijnaya Bhagavan Swapada Sparsha Kamyaya. I know what you have been longing for, hey Gopikas. You have been longing for my Pada Sparsha. You wanted that eternal union with my divine lotus feet. to take refuge in my lotus feet. That has been always been the objective of the gopis. We need to clearly understand what the gopis were asking, what they were doing, what Krishna was doing, to relish and cherish this greatest of all the Leelas. And Dhrita Vratanam Sankalpam Aha Damodara Palaha. I understand your real motive and your determination. Krishna obviously cannot bear the Gopikas to further go through any of the hardships of doing any vratas. Given a chance, Krishna would say, why are you doing any hardships? Stop everything. I promise you all the rewards. Sankalpaha, viditaha, sadhyaha, bhavatinam mad archanam, mayanumodita sosau, satyaha, bhavitum arhati. Bhavatinam adarchanam. You have been worshipping me only. Now all through the vrata, I know you have been worshipping only me, and therefore, satyaha. I guarantee the ultimate reward. It must indeed, I know your intent, I know your motive, I know the vrata you have done, and therefore I promise you the reward. Now says, Namaya veshita dhyam kamaha kamaya kalpate bhajjita kvatita dhanah prayo bijaya neshate. For those who fix their minds on me, Maya veshita dhyam. This is what is important. The attraction here is not the play of hormones. It is a harmonious blending of one's heart with the universal heart. This is that ultimate longing being fulfilled by aligning one's will with Krishna's will. Complete, total, unquestioned Sharanagati. Very, very difficult to emulate, but Gopikas are those exalted bhaktas. Those exalted bhaktas who stand, who are the very epitome of supreme Sharanagati, and therefore they demonstrate how material desires can be translated into divine desires. Krishna gives an example here, looking at them. You have proven, hey Gopikas, bharjita kvatita dhanah prayo bhijaya neshate. Just as barley corns, when they are burned by the sun and cooked, they will not sprout anymore. When a seed, or another example we can take, if you take a seed and when you roast the seed, it will no longer sprout into a plant and a tree. Similarly, the same desire can be purified by directing the desire towards Krishna, and the Gopikas teach this eternal lesson to all of us. Therefore, every time when we reflect on the Gopi Vastrapaharana, we must prostrate to the divine feet of every Gopika of Vraja. We must take the soil on which they walked. They walked with Krishna in their hearts and their minds, longing for union with Krishna. Taking the soil, we must apply the soil on our foreheads, and we must pray for we not being inspired by them. If we can even reach 1/1000th or millionth of their exalted status, we would have fulfilled the purpose of our life and living. May those Gopikas continue to be our eternal guides, leading us all the way to Krishna. Where there is a Gopika, there is Krishna. And therefore, let us continue to contemplate on the supreme bhakti of the Gopikas, and we will see how Krishna responds to them. And when Krishna responds, we all can imagine what kind of a divine response it's going to be. Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu.